My name is Paige McNeese, and today I wanted to talk to you all about when I was in New York City and I worked for Macy's Merchandising Group. We underwent a change with how we handled our speed to market, which is essentially getting a product from concept to delivery and even beyond, like in markdowns and everything, following that product life cycle. So a little bit about Macy's Merchandising Group. You all are probably familiar with Macy's. It's a major department store. This picture is of the Herald Square location in New York City. The flagship is huge. It's insane. But specifically, MMG is a division of Macy's corporate, and I was working in the private label product development portion of it, which that involved, if you're familiar with Macy's at all, those brands might include Alfani or Charter Club, Inc., or International Concepts, and this is across all different products, so clothing, shoes, jewelry, etc. It also, MMG is responsible for merchandising national brands, Ralph Lauren, DKNY, Nine West, brands like this, so the buying aspect of it and merchandising it in store and coordinating it with the private label brands. And then also the marketing programs and different collaborations that Macy's would have, it would all be housed at MMG. So let's see here. My specific role, I was the product assistant for Inc. Jewelry. This is one of our displays that I set up for the buyers to come and look at to see which of our products were going to be put in the different stores across the United States. And I was hired on within the Executive Development Program, which kind of teaches you about corporate retail from the ground up. It's very informative, not just about specifically jewelry, which what I was involved in, but for the business as a whole. So my responsibilities including analyzing sales data, inputting SKUs and contracts in our order management system, which was extremely important, had to be very accurate, and because this is what was going into everything. All of our reports was based on this. The packaging that you would see in the store would have all this information on it. So, and then managing samples and coordinating marketing, because when you go through the process of product development, you have multiple samples to get to just the right product, the one that you want everybody to see in the store. So there was a lot involved in this, and of course learning and development was always a constant thing at Macy's that we'd have to fit into all of our other duties and responsibilities. The change event that I'm going to speak to is when we implemented the new product lifecycle management program for speed to market, which it was geared towards all of the private label brands at Macy's, and my team, we were like the last ones to be onboarded for this. So, but overall, I think that according to the different types of changes that we've learned about in our reading, this was definitely a planned change, but also evolutionary, because fashion and technology are very fast-paced. So even if we had these certain plans in place, it was kind of always evolving anyways. So I feel like it's a little bit of both. Evaluating the change. So what went right? Me personally, my manager was pretty accepting of the new initiative. When we had our meetings, they were broken into smaller aspects of changing over to this new system. And that was helpful so that you weren't bombarded with so many things at one time. Kind of like these incremental meetings were setting us up for establishing this as a whole. And then the speed to market team itself, the ones that were helping us get these products to the market as quickly as possible, they were always available and made it a lot helpful for us if we had questions or any kind of concerns. Unfortunately, we were the last ones to onboard, and I think part of it might have been due to my manager. She wasn't prioritizing the speed to market stuff. I think that we just kept rescheduling it, and it wasn't, on our priority list of things to do. And then we felt a little behind compared to some of the other brands that we interacted with because they were already on board. And Ink Jewelry specifically used a domestic supplier, which meant that we didn't have a lot of the global components that many of the other private label brands had. So the way that you use speed to market was a little bit differently because we didn't have design in-house and color and all these other particulars that a lot of these other people that were going overseas to source had to interact with. So overall, I believe that as a whole for Center Core, which is what we called the jewelry, accessories, all of that of Macy's, I believe it was successful. Yet I think that my perspective in particular is a little bit skewed because and that's a picture of some people on our team, but I ended up leaving to come back to Tennessee because my grandfather was really sick, and so I didn't actually get to see everything come to fruition. But I remember the meetings being made me very anxious because there were so many other deadlines. We handled, I don't know if you're familiar with seeing some of the jewelry collections. There's certain color schemes, certain silhouettes and designs, but we were working with multiple deliveries of these collections at different stages at one time. So it's like trying to, we're ordering this, we're merchandising this, we're in the buying process for this collection, so it's just a lot going on. So it was anxiety provoking for me. And then I felt like being a part of the EDP, the Executive Development Program, I had finally learned how to go about this in the traditional way, and now I was having to relearn everything again for this new system. But I did understand why it was important and how it was going to benefit everyone as a whole. So our leaders and how they helped. My manager, again, encouraged us to accept the change, and other management and Center Core, which was the fashion accessories. Everyone was very much a family because we were all on the same floor together. So the handbag people and the shoes and everyone, we were all there, and everyone felt like it was a good initiative. So that was encouraging and positive. How they hindered, again, like I mentioned, my manager did not prioritize those meetings, so it felt like we were kind of late to the game, which was a bit frustrating, but also understandable considering all the deadlines that we were facing, and we were a very small team. It was literally for Ink Jewelry, it was me and my manager, and that's all who was responsible for bringing this collection to the store. In some ways, she did keep kind of a traditionalist attitude, so not necessarily 100% on board with the changes, so that was, her being kind of apprehensive about it made me feel a little apprehensive. Changes to my role, I'm not entirely sure since I left in process. However, I believe it would have made it a lot easier to follow these multiple product deliveries because this system took, it had a huge calendar of when things were going to hit the stores or when things were due at certain places. So it had all that laid out. It had every other aspect, like the vendors that we worked with and the marketing people had all of their deadlines and everything on there. So we knew how to communicate a little bit better. It made it more efficient. And then it eliminated the need to access so many different portals. I mean, we had a portal for everything that we were doing, and this kind of consolidated it and made it a little bit easier to just have a one-glance kind of approach. So I do see how it was beneficial, and honestly, I'm kind of curious to know how the program would be handled today and if they're even using the same thing because times have changed so much. This was back in 2012, 2013, so but anyways, does anyone have any questions or comments? And if not, thank you so much. Appreciate it.